Hi, my name is Dirk Braden. I am currently a student at Globe University. This video will be an instructional type video to try to help you get rid of bad habits you might have as a new student and install new good habits that will help you succeed as a new student. I hope that you learn much and that you enjoy this video. So what I'm going to cover on as far as a habit that people have, or a good approach to becoming a better student, is not losing your enthusiasm or redirecting your current enthusiasm so you do not burn out. A lot of times when people first start up college again, they have that new toy enthusiasm and they want to spend all their time doing it. This is not a good thing to do. What you would like to try is, instead of using all of your time for your new toy, you want to try to break it up. You want to do a little bit at a time. This works for people who are straight out of high school, continuing their education, or people who are well into their careers that have very little time on their hands outside of their careers and families, that this is a good strategy to use. A couple hours a day is pretty much all you need. But remember, there's an old adage that says, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. That's pretty much what's going to happen to you with your college work, because essentially this is like having a second job. Because you spend a lot of time studying, you spend a lot of time doing work, and you take your mind and you focus your mind on this work very, very, very hard. So one way to combat this is to just do the little bit of increments at a time. There's a study that showed that your mind is only capable of focusing on one particular task for 9 hours at a time. So trying to hammer out all your classwork on one day in the weekend or 2 days in the weekend, not a good idea. You want to try to do it a little bit at a time. It lessens your workload and reduces the risk of you burning out. So it's a good thing to do. So the second thing is, when it comes to homework, you want to try to minimize your distractions. So if you're doing online courses or you have just coursework that you're supposed to do for class for the day, you want to try to minimize the amount of distractions that you have. Now, some of us, like me, like to listen to music when they're doing their work. It helps keep you motivated. It helps keeps you driving. Because for me, background noise keeps my mind focused on the task at hand, because my mind likes to wander. So this is a good thing to do. However, you don't want the music to play so loud that everybody that's around you, your neighbors, or if you're living with roommates, your roommates might hear every word that you're playing on your radio. You don't necessarily want that. The louder music that you have on, the more likely you are to start drumming along or start singing the song. But if you play it at a low volume where it's just like a background sound, then it'll help keep you focused, but at the same time it will not distract you away from your work. The second thing is you want to try to do your work away from a television. It is too tempting to look up and see what's going on the TV screen. So that's another thing to do. If you have children, young children, whoever, if you have family members or significant other that can take care of them for the time being while you do your work, it's a good idea to do. You want to, because children, as much as you love them, they will take you away from your classwork because they are more important to you than anything else in this world. And it's very hard to say no when the child's in front of you saying, "Mommy, please," or "Daddy, please." So as hard as it is to have somebody take care of them for a couple hours while you do work, try to minimize that, that distraction that you might have with them. It's really hard to do, and it sounds kind of cold, but I mean, you do have a responsibility to take care for your schoolwork as well as your children. And they'll understand if you spend a couple hours away. Now, if your children are still in school, or you have time where they're in school and you're at home doing work, that's a great time to do it, right then, when they're busy. Because when they get home, then you can focus on them. And the third and final thing that I'm going to cover as far as a bad habit to combat is procrastination. I'm guilty. I like to wait to the last minute a lot of times, because sometimes it's easier for me to hammer something out in the last minute because that's when I'm the most focused. Not exactly the best strategy to have, because sometimes your focus isn't enough to utilize the small time that you might have waiting to the last minute. So I strongly suggest do a little bit at a time. Again, it goes back into the first one, do a little bit at a time, try not to procrastinate. Okay, number one good habit that you can have when you go to school, being on time. Being on time is a great thing, because building that habit is a good habit that will carry with you when you actually finish college and you try to enter into your career, especially a career that requires a lot of professional ism, and that requires you to be very, 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 very much on time. Okay, so that punctuality is something that you can start building up now while you're in classes. Number 2 thing that you can do, try to turn your work in on time. That's the number 2 good habit to have. Turning your work in on time means that you will always receive the maximum amount of points that you can get. So if you get a deduction of 10%, a deduction of 10% on a 70 means that you lose 7 points, which means you get a 63. A 63 is a D, not passing. So that's just another thing to think about is, keeping it on time, and you'll be good. And the number 3 is always remain professional and courteous to everybody that's around you. That's a great habit to have. It's a great thing to practice, because when you get into the job field and you start your interview, you start interacting with people that are around you in your new career, being professional and courteous is something that will make you the one that they'll remember. All right, so thank you very much for your time. Thank you for watching this. I hope you learned something and that you benefited from this video today. Have a great day. Bye.